Number 2, the governor of South Carolina is hiking the Appalachian Trail. As we know, that was not true. Mark Sanford, of course, he was somewhere that started with the letter A, but it was my home country of Argentina.
With a mistress.
With a mistress, rather than the Appalachian Trail to clear his head. And number 1 lie of 2009, Sarah Palin's claim that death panels are part of the healthcare reform bill. The healthcare reform bill will create a panel that will decide, does grandma live or does grandma die? And I agree, Lewis. I think that I'm happy with our list here. That has to be the number 1 lie of 2009, does it not?
Yeah, I'd say so. But,
another lie, and this isn't so much a lie, but he ended up being wrong. And I know you know what I'm getting at, and this was 2008.
Well, how about a spending freeze on everything but defense, veteran affairs, and entitlement?
Not necessarily a lie, just way off. And I know that John McCain was more of a 2008 guy. He almost disappeared completely in 2009. Sarah Palin, though, his running mate, staying present.
Staying alive.
Staying alive. Number 1 lie, death panels are part of the healthcare reform bill. And speaking of healthcare, the Republican delay tactics that were hoping to force this Christmas Eve vote on health reform, I don't know how many people have heard this, but it's pretty bad. I don't know. Many of our listeners may just not have been paying attention around this time, but a couple of senators got into it, and this is Senators Harkin and Vitter. And Senator Harkin said, "We don't want to delay a lot of the senators from getting home for Christmas. We're all here. Let's just vote." And David Vitter did not like that.
There's a lot of people around here that are having a lot of problems with that. We're all here. There's really no reason to hold over the votes, and so I'm going to ask unanimous consent that the vote on the passage of the bill and the vote on the debt limit bill occur at 6 p.m. this evening.
Is there objection?
Mr. President,
Senator Vitter.
That request has not been cleared on this side, so on behalf of my colleagues, I will object, and if the senator would like to talk to all of his colleagues about it, that would be fine. But in the meantime, I would object.
Mr. President, then I would further ask unanimous consent that the votes that are going to occur at 7 a.m. tomorrow occur at 12:15 a.m. in the morning.
Mr. President.
Is there objection?
Mr. President, my response would be the same, and I would object in the same vein.
Objection is heard.
Well, I just want people to know who's keeping us here.
Can you believe this, Lewis? Is there any reason other than just this hasn't been cleared by the Republicans to keep people around? And of course, we know this vote was so politicized that I'm not honestly that surprised that this is going on. I just don't think most people know that this type of stuff goes on. Just keeping things going for hours, making senators come in to vote and miss their flights home. I mean, come on.
Right, but keeping everyone there.
Keeping everyone there.
Themselves.
And staff.
So, right. So I truly have no idea what the point would be other than just to cause mental stress.
Well, it goes back to what possible ways are there to make somebody miss this vote and somehow vote in a different way.
This is one of them.
I guess this is one of them, even though it didn't end up working. Well, when we think about single payer, one of the last people that I think of as wanting single payer is conservative columnist David Brooks. But for whatever reason, he actually thinks a single payer system would be better than the system we have now. And I have to say, Lewis, it seems pretty obvious to me that it would be better than the system we have now. Let's take a listen to him. This is on, I believe this is on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, and he's arguing back and forth with progressive economist Paul Krugman. And he actually says, hey, single payer would be better than what we have now. Let's take a listen.
Listen, I don't oppose it because I want to step on the necks of the poor, as you could say. I oppose it, and it's a close call for me, because we used to spend 10% of healthcare, of our GNP on healthcare. Now it's 17. Soon it'll be 20, 22. More on healthcare, less on education, less on infrastructure, less on investment, less on everything else. This bill will do absolutely nothing. It will slightly increase the amount of money we spend on healthcare. So what could you do politically to do something about that? Well, I wouldn't mind a single payer. Frankly, I prefer a single payer to what we have now, because that actually would control costs. My preferred option, though, would be to give consumers choice. There are health economists, Alan Eindhoven. There was a bill called...
Okay, and we know all about choice, meaning more for-profit healthcare. Whenever we come across, Lewis, when I come across people that they may favor the end result that I am in favor of, but for completely different reasons. Do I want them on my side or not? And this relates back to some people who oppose the war in Iraq, for example, but they opposed it because they thought the U.S. should just be completely cut off from every other country in every way, even in terms of imports, exports, so on and so forth. I agree with them that we shouldn't have gone into Iraq, but for completely different reasons philosophically. So am I on the same page as them or am I not? Should I want someone like David Brooks' support for a single-payer system, even though for him it's for a completely different reason than it would be for me? I don't know.
I don't know, but I would say yes, if a single-payer system were his number one choice.
Well, he's not saying that. He's saying
Right.
it's better
he's
than...
He's saying he'd rather have more options.
And
but
it's
single
still,
payer is doable.
It's still possible, even if it's not his number one choice, that given a choice between what there is now and single payer, he would support it as a conservative. Do I want him on my side, even though he supports it for completely different reasons than I do?
Sure.
You say yes.
Yeah, he thinks he wants it because he thinks it'll save money.
Right.
It'll lower costs.
As a percentage of spending, right. For the country.
Which is fine, And if you think, if you're both working to the same end.
But here's the question, though. If, let's say, a lot of people who believe what he believes get involved and they want single payer for that specific reason, they don't want it because they think it will give better, more comprehensive care to more people or to everybody, which is the reasons I would want to support it. Mm-hmm. Isn't it going to actually hold back the care getting better? I don't know. It just seems if you have support from people for such different reasons that it may not work out that well.
Right. Well, I guess it would depend on how the bill is written and what happens.
For whatever reason, I don't think it's something I have to worry about too much. I think it's just not going to be happening.
I don't think that will ever happen.